Well, see, when I was a student, Carl Rogers published that thing about the therapist has to be genuine, empathic, and positive. And then he had another condition, which is the client has to perceive that. And I, having just been a client for a long time, said, Carl, that isn't right, because I was a client for, more than a year, and I didn't perceive zilch. I always felt that nobody could understand me. And, I could see that my therapist was a nice person out there, but me, and I kept having to have over and over and over the experience of being understood in my body without believing or perceiving that that was happening. And what, of course, he really meant is that the therapist can't just sit still with these lovely attitudes. The therapist has got to manifest them some way so they affect the client. And so he used the word perceive because he fell into the old model. But I think that's not correct. I think these attitudes have to organismically affect the way the client is living as an organism. And then gradually that filters up to the perception. What I'm denying is that that's a good place to start understanding, as if perception were the beginning. You deal yourself a machine, that's a body, and then you treat it like a photographic apparatus, and it starts to perceive, to see, hear, feel, taste, and touch, is the traditional way of explaining everything. In the traditional way, the body is treated simply as a mechanical something. And then we don't quite understand how it perceives, but since we have electric cells and photographic apparatus, it'll be something like that. And you start with perception. And I'm saying then you've lost everything already. You're never going to be able to explain how the body implies a next step. Right? And every time we say the body to our colleagues who are in the old theory, they look at us funny, because that's just not what they mean by body. The body is a mechanical system, and what are you talking about? So we have to start earlier. We have to have a body that is in interaction with its species members, even for the animals, so that for humans it becomes a living in, embodying and acting, living from this edge to the other of the situation. And then perception comes into that and modifies that. I want to say that when you get onto how we can think about the body in the situation, or the body in the environment to begin with, then you start to notice that in that whole period of Goethe and Schiller and Kant and all those people, they were really all struggling with this, that if you simply have the mechanical body perceiving, you've lost the human being somehow. And so they try to break that in some way. So for Schiller, that's art. Well, that was beautiful, and that probably influenced me in the first place to where I got, and I'm standing on his shoulders and everything. But now I think how sad that is, that he surrendered the whole world to the mechanics. The only refuge he could find is in art, as if art were not real, and so you can get away with it. When art is more real than anything else, because it opens possibilities which we then, having experienced them in art. So it's interesting to see, because Goethe was like that. He was constantly rebelling against that old model. He had a different theory of color and everything. But it was such a struggle for those people, and it might not be for us anymore to give up the body to mechanics like that. All of nature to them was mechanical. It isn't to us, right, anymore.